Mm. All right. Grand evening, everyone. It's Shay Seeking, and we're back. So again, um, so anyways, after looking at the couple of things, like I said, I showed you in the video about ancient history is going to be the one right before this one, led me to start doing some digging and trying to see some things because again, someone like me that feels as though there have been certain obstacles again um that have and again I don't regret, like I said, any of it. Is all an experience. And again, I think everything happens for a reason, no matter if you see it as a negative thing or positive. um if it comes with a form of uh awareness, then I'm someone that likes to do a little bit of digging. So again, to know that um there has been said, which again, that's what his story is. It's the story written by victors of certain places. And, we just have to be able to read between the lines and use discernment and um, wisdom, knowledge, and obtained in order to, in our mind's eye, in order to see. Okay. So again, we're talking about the, now I would recommend, again, if you're in the group, I think I put it on my personal page, but I'm going to go ahead after this video and I'm going to shoot it over to the group, American Aborigines Unchained, on Facebook, so that you guys can watch this video because this person really went into depth about the situation. Me, I'm just triggering thought. Again, if somebody sees something or wants to take that and, run with it, or they have more information already, that's kind of like what this channel is for. It's just randomly triggering thought. Okay, so I got a handful of seeds. I'm just throwing them out. Okay, so so I said this article is about factory workers, and again, this is hearsay. All information in all of these stories, whether this mythology, this is it's not truth every time. You see what I'm saying? It's just the way someone viewed it and wrote it, and more than likely, would have to be a way that they would be able to even publish it or present it. It would have to go along the lines of the code of what that was enforced by whoever would be monitoring what information is placed out and what is not. So, excuse me, if it doesn't fit the narrative that they want us to think and see, then it won't make it, more than likely. Again, and you know what? And there's something in me that's telling me that this whole so-called truther movement is going to have to be shifted or changed. Again, I get a lot of energy saying don't do the same thing how you used to, and I don't know. I'm old school, old school. um and again, I don't know. It's just I, call call it just someone that's just investigating things. Like really, just we're just looking at information and questioning things. That's all we're doing. Using a theoretical approach to view the information that has been given to us and see if it sits right with all the information that we're obtaining in other ways, fashions and forms. Okay, so for the illusion, see Radium Girls, uh, 2018 American drama film Radium Girls. Maybe I'll watch that one day. So it says these radium girls were female factory workers who contracted radiation poisoning from painting watch dials. Excuse me, watch dials. It's making me think about sundials. And even making me think of, like, spiritually painting a picture. Like, I don't know. And again, this may not have anything to do with this, but this is what they're telling us that it is. Okay. So I'm just saying what it reminds me of. So with self-illumination paint, I mean, even that self-illumination, like, because even, right at this point in time, people want a specific type of information. And if it doesn't fit in that narrative, they feel like you're being some kind of way, or, you know, uh, that it's the ego and all these other things, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just funny to me because I just see that certain things that come to do that has to do with truth or alternative information are being, um, what do you call it, turned into some form of, oh my goodness, hate speech. We'll say that. But everybody else can write all kind of books about it. But when certain people tap into certain things and share certain things, you better believe it's coming with some kind of blows, spiritually, tech, technological, or physical. So again, they're telling us that we're talking about these dials or whatever it could have been, but yeah, okay. The painting was done by women, three different factories, and again, like, if we don't think that these are farms, these so-called communities and things like that that we live in these, it's almost like we're in some form of mm, listen. I don't know what it is about today, but I'm finding words hard to come by. Um, Goodness. Let's think Handmaid's Tale. How they had everybody split up into these different, not jurisdictions, but these different, mm, forget it. I'm not even going to be able to think of it. And it's right on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. Okay. So again, we see that. Let's see. This is right here, which I'm think we're going to pull this up in a second. Um, we can see here that tell the story of these girls poisoned at the workplace in unceded, okay, sacred territory. Okay, so again, unceded, that would mean that it wasn't seeded by a group or whatnot. And it was sacred, almost like our temples today that are sacred, but everybody's trying to find a way to tap into or get into your vessel, whether it is spiritually, some kind of form of alien invasion, some form of mm, under the medical practices, um, through technology, um, even we're talking about other types of beings or deities or gods in a sense. Um, Again, as established in 1868 treaty for Fort Laramie. Okay, so again, some of this stuff was going on as early as 1868. That was the only thing what I really wanted to point out. Now let's go back to it, because again, we're dealing with 1868. Okay, it's Memorial Day, so we're trying to remember some shit, right? Okay, so okay, let's see. And the term now applies to women working at facilities, uh, one in Orange, New Jersey, beginning 1917. Okay, all these other beginning 1920. Just think about all of these different also schools and different facilities that they were taking our women to once they were taking them off of the, I was going to say plantation. um, well, I mean, parts, some of them were maybe on reservations, um, but again, from their people, okay, or their homes. After being told that the paint was harmless, the women in each facility ingested deadly amounts of radium after being instructed to point their brushes on their lips. The women were instructed to point their brushes in a way because using rags or a water rinse caused them to use more time and materials. As the rinse was made from powdered radium, gum arabic, hardened sap from the Acacia tree. Because even looking at something like this, it makes me think about like some of the things again that we feel are being healing spiritually. To this day, people talk about how much water they're drinking, how much vegetables and fruits and everything they're eating, how many herbs and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, again, if you take it all the way back to the root of things, how much of this stuff is actually safe? Because if it's grown in a place where they're using certain things on them, that makes you no healthier than anyone that would be eating meat that would be having certain things in it, and so on and so forth. And this is not to throw shade or hate or anything. I'm just saying let's just be realistic, because even when it comes to bottled water, there's all kind of chemicals and plastics and all kind of things and residue that's in the water. You don't know exactly where the water came from. It's these particular things that, come on, let's just keep it real. And hopefully again our bodies possibly may be in a state where it can combat and fight off certain things and cleanse itself, and things like this, in a manner where we're taking these things in and it's able to do that. But the reality is everything is contaminated now. Even if you grow your own, the soil has certain things that are coming out of the sky, certain things that may even be placed there, certain things that may be dumped there, again, in a sense, from on high or through different pipelines, well water, things like this. Wells can be contaminated and things because this has been done to certain groups of people at certain points in time. So again, we can't just think that everything is good now and we should not even be worried about these particular things. It's just my opinion. Okay. So again, we can do all that and do all that, but at the same time, where was it grown? Who, do you see what I'm saying? This is why I just can't, I don't see things the same way as other people do. It's just me. Um, okay, so it's Indian gum. Natural gum consists of hardening sap, two species of the Acacia tree, and the Acacia Senegal vercelli, something. Again, we're not going to go all the way into it, but you see what I'm saying. Five of the women in New Jersey challenged their employer in a case over the right of individual workers who contracted occupational diseases or diseases to sue their employers under New Jersey occupation. Okay, so again, we don't need to go all the way into that. Okay. 1917, 1926. Originally called the Radium Luminous Material Corporation. Again, we're talking more about corporations, things of that sort, where even in these trying and changing times right now, we could all eventually, again, end up in certain situations if we're not paying attention. Because again, we seem to think that certain things that have been given to us by certain people, even things that have been passed on as, we say things like, oh, our ancestors wrote this and wrote that and did that. But anyway, it goes, these people, again, that know more than you about it will be able to use it towards you anytime you may get out of line or anything. So again, I just want to just bring that into, because again, sometimes we get to a certain point where we start to, uh, instead of helping each other again and realizing that we all have our own journeys, we'll hurt each other, or we'll think that my way is the way, and things like that. So for me, I just seek truth and I try to share it, something that's going to open up somebody's eyes, um, if they aren't, because again, many of you are already there. mm, hmm. The other undark mines in Utah. hmm As defense contractor, U.S. Radium was a major supplier of luminescent luminescent watches to the military. Hmm. Well, anyways, it makes me interested in why we would need to use that, but um, okay. And again, who knew? Did they know that it was dangerous and just lied, or did they not know? And whose fault is it if whether they did or they didn't, or who's going to suffer? Not whose fault is it? Who's going to suffer whether they told you that or not? after you have ingested or had the stuff, contaminate your body. But I know they were saying something about this being something that even maybe altered the beauty, the appearance of these women. They had a glow about them. There was something illustrious about these women. Um, they wore their best apparel to work. It's almost like it's even mind altering in a sense. I think they said something about like parties and things they would have, and it reminded me also of like I don't know. Even when I was looking at some information about Astarte, and they said something about some kind of strange. Well, they were talking about parties and feasts and stuff like that, but some type of prostitution ring or something, some kind of sacred something. And again, these are I speak on these things because again, I partially see things like this again, um, you know, um, going on in different levels currently. Let's see, lips. Da, da, da. Let's see, painted their nails, their teeth, their face with deadly paint. Now, I don't know why somebody would be doing this unless they'd already lost their damn mind with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you're supposed to be working with it, so they were taking this stuff home in little vials and stuff, and making sure they put it on their teeth. That just sounds so strange to me. And it had to be something to have something to do with altering your mindset or your state of mind. At some point um, someone must have been looking on and saying this if they didn't know. Um, hmm. So it says among the first to numerize problems among dial painters were dentists, dental pain, loose teeth, lesions, and ulcers, and the failure of tooth extractions to heal were some of those conditions. Many of these women later began to suffer from anemia. Again, we know that that's a problem within our communities. Bone fractures, we know that, again, when it comes to vitamin D or low vitamin D, um, necrosis of the jaw, a condition now known as radium jaw. Okay. The women also suffer from suppression um, of menstrual and sterility. Sterility. Yeah, okay, something like that. It is thought that the x ray machine used by the medical investigations may have uh, contributed to some of the sickened workers' ill health by subjecting them to additional radiation. Now, what was I going to say? And I should have grabbed my glasses when I went upstairs. Hmm. It turned out at least one of the examinations was a ruse, part of a campaign of disinformation started by the defense contractor. Okay. U.S. Radium and other watchdog companies rejected claims that the afflicted workers were suffering from exposure to radium. For some time, doctors, dentists, and researchers complied with requests from the companies not to release their data. And this is where we think we know, but we have no idea. Hmm. So, again, some of these women died. Syphilis and notorious sexual transmitted infections at the time was often cited in attempts to smear the reputation of the women. So again, this is almost like a smear campaign. It's already, and like this now I'm seeing why spirit told me to go into this, right? Okay. Because then it made me think about the Tuskegee Airmen, because again, I think they used it on men too, but it was more of a thing that was used on women. And then, it takes me back to just biblical times and how the women were represented and treated in the biblical text as well. Same damn thing. We're just looking at it, and they want you to look at it in some ancient old way, when really we may not be talking about that long ago. And even if we are, the things have been going on and going on, and they're still going on to this day in different ways. You have to be able to read between the lines. You have to be able to use your sensors in order to see. You have to use your minds. You have to just be very somewhat clever in order to see these things. Could it now be in your birth control? See, things like this. Mm, 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 mm. So again, Von, whoever his name is, died in November 1928, becoming, and I think this is when it stopped. Actually, I think 1928. One of the timelines that I saw, it stopped in 1928. The use of it, they say, becoming the 16th known victim of poisoning by radium dial paint. He had gotten sick from radium in his hand, not the jaw, but the circumstances of his death helped the radium girls in court. Okay. Something like a sacrifice, probably. Because it just remind me of a situation where someone, oh, the inventor, right? Okay, so again, and sometimes, usually in some of these types of things, the inventor of anything, whether it's some type of movement or something, is the leader supposedly, and then those are the ones that are pretty much taken out. But then hopefully, the seeds were applied and other people took that and ran with it, because again, no one's promised tomorrow. Um, let's see. But all in all, it ended up helping them out. So it's kind of like a crucifixion almost. Or even just like even with some people, again, I won't name any names, but that have been put in the media for certain things at certain points in times. And then, they're the scapegoat. That's what we'll say. The scapegoat. As if, okay, this person is gone. Now let's get back. You see? So again, we could expect, or it might not even be the culling or killing of. It may even be a smear campaign. It may be isolation. It may be some type of targeting or something like that, that will have you taken away or sent off, or feel like you're not a part of the rest, right? Or you're alone again. But again, most of us are, well, if you're on this channel, you already know that you're not. And again, us coming into ourselves, women in particular, we'll have to know that some of these entities and energies, especially in a patriarchal fashion, are going to, again, use certain tactics when women start to rise. We'll say that. Okay. Let's see. Peru, Illinois. Let's see what else we can see here. Um, leadership, hairbrushes. Okay. And again, oh, wait. Let's see. Authorize physicals and other tests designed to determine the toxicity of radium paint to its employees, but the company never gave those records to the employees or told them of the results. Well, I wonder, it's making me even think about like larger companies, even this day, that are offering tests, or what test. And some of these are self tests, like they do it themselves and put it in something and they send it off. Lord knows who the information is going to and what it's being used for. But again, people do things without really thinking. um hmm, hmm. In a half-hearted attempt to end the use of camel hairbrushes, management introduced glass pens with fine point. However, the workers found that the pens slowed their productivity. Um, they were paid by the piece. Okay, reverted to using brushes. Um, the women were told that the radium was safe by their employers or employees. Uh, oh, I'm sorry. And the employees in New Jersey were showing signs of viral infections. Assured by their employers that the radium was safe, they returned to work as usual. Okay. Litigations. 2 years of a lawyer willing, even after the women found a lawyer, the litigation process moved slowly. Hmm. It's kind of like some of us truth seekers that, with algorithms and things like that, you don't get really anywhere because that would be the last thing. First appearance in court in January 1928. Two women were bedridden. None of them could raise their arms to take an oath. Hmm. Edna Husband, Catherine. Okay, these are some of the women. Let's see. But again, let's just remember that these days, if you end up taking something or because someone said it was okay and you believed it, there's no way of going back and taking any kind of litigation or anything against them because that right has been taken away. The Radium Girl saga holds an important place in history of both the field of health, physics, and labor rights movement. Uh, the right of individual workers to sue for damages, blah, blah, blah. Let's keep going. Okay, scientific impact. Let's see. It's almost seemed like it was like even like a drug to these women because I think it enhanced your beauty. It did a lot of things. And even what kind of attraction could this have been even to males? Just the way that they were explaining it in this. That's why I think you guys should watch that. I won't call it a documentary, but it was something put together, and I thought that they did an amazing job putting it together. So. And I'll have it. It's called Radium Girls. You can probably look it up on YouTube if you want by yourself. And then if you can't find it there, like I said, I'll have it in the group. Establish the tolerance level of radium. Okay. Because again, it kind of was funny because it said something about these people were sent to a rheumatologist or I think it was because they thought it was something. I think it's very interesting. Yeah, they were talking about cancer and all these other things as well. Um, Alpha radiation to the bones. Again, this is just an introduction. Again, I'm never here to tell you what it is or what it ain't. I'm simply sharing what it looks like to me. And again, we're not making any accusations. We're just looking up this information to see. You know, a lot of people think that certain things have been, used against them in certain times. And again, we would like to see what type of things, what kind of crafty counsel and things were going on at times to, investigate and look a little bit further. That's all we're doing here. Hmm. Let me see if that was it. Like even if you think about, I'm just thinking about all the little things here and there. I can't remember what Ariel took on Little Mermaid, but um, the apple, Sleeping Beauty, all of these have a strong, strong, I feel, alternative meaning. Let's see. Okay, so let's look at radium as far as the definition goes, and then we'll go ahead and look at this when it comes to the Black Hills. Um, I think there was another word that I wanted to look up in here that had something to do with this. I should have wrote it out. Uh, Radium, radioactive, metallic, alkaline, earth element. Because I know there's a lot of, it might be something different, but I know there's a lot of talk about alkaline diets and stuff like that at this point in time. And it's pretty, you know, new for us. I would just say past 10 years or so. I'm just saying, just taking a look at certain movements. I pay attention to certain things, movements and things like that that go along, because I usually go against the grain, but until I really have confirmation. But we think that because it's popular to speak, and I'm not saying this again. This ain't no shot towards nobody. I'm just more concerned about the way we think, what we think, and the way we think, and how we have been programmed to think in a certain way. It's not never really against the people's information or whatever they're putting. It's just our thought process. That's it. Okay. um 1899, modern Latin, radius, ray. Identification by Mary Curie and her husband, so called for its power of emitting energy in the form of rays. And that's funny too, because just even thinking how people have said over time that they'll say things like the fake sun or something like that. And it just has you wonder sometimes, like hmm, when you feel that energy coming from the sun, if it's artificial, or because you've ingested some things possibly in the air, airborne things, or what I'm saying. And is this something that's organic and natural, or is it something that might be promoted by something that might be artificial? These are just random questions I'll be asking myself sometimes. you know and at certain times, can things be altered? What are these things that come from certain trails and things like that, that land on you and on your skin and on your car? And sometimes you wake up and there's like this fine dust on your car, or you know things like that. Like, what is that stuff? And when we're inhaling it, what does it do? How is it affecting us? Is it large amounts of it collect and get into your bloodstream and your system? And I just be wondering some of these things sometimes. Heavy gases, element. Mm, a cross, shaft, straight rod or bar, staff, stake, rod, spoke of a wheel, ray of light beam, beam of light, radius of circle, root, radix, root, but mm, Devon finds that unlikely. Huh. Geometric sense of straight line drawn from the center of a circle to uh, circumference is recorded in 1650. Circular area, defined distance around some place as the name of the shorter two bones. Da, da, da. Okay. Word forming element of chemistry used to coin elements names, which form mental names. Iron and gold. 18th century chemists began to pay attention, indicate chemical purpose. Wait, properties. Hmm. Er, uranium, chrome, chrome, thorium. Well, I was about to say barium, because I know that that's in some people claim that that's in some of the residue from the trails, but hmm, okay. Now let's look at this fraction of the truth. Tulsa, that was the one I was trying to. Oklahoma, the Tulsa. Hmm. A vibrant community in Tulsa District, Greenwood District. Okay, we already know all these types of things about it. I'm trying to see if they're going to speak about Radium Girls remind us that in order to move towards a brighter, more equitable and just future, we have to know the past that came before it. That is the first step towards healing. We have to continue to uncover the facts and celebrate those who go against the status quo to create a better future for the generations that follow. See, look, that's what I'll be talking about. I ain't even read this. I really didn't. This is my first time really looking at it. Hmm. So again, if anything, it would be those that would possibly have already established again. And when we were reading in the biblical text the other day, that was making me think of something like that. You know, may even be those who already have these things established that have made themselves a. We just have to be careful how we treat each other because like I said, it might be those. There's a smaller fraction of people that have things together than the people that don't have things together. And so, again, that makes it easier if we create a barrier between each other. That makes it easier for certain people to penetrate either side. The ones that don't have the information, although there are more in numbers, if they don't have the proper information, what will they do? And then the smaller number, if they do have all the information and all is lost, then what will that mean for the rest of the people that didn't get that information or whatnot? Um, And so again, that's why I just just dealing with the distance between and how we let others get in and manipulate and maneuver something that we have again as a collective in all different categories and ways, started on our own. We didn't ask anybody to to do this when it comes to this particular movement of this awakening. Now, I do believe that there are higher powers that are involved, on either side, but um even sometimes that can get out of hand if you're not willing to look at it their way. um so again, that's what I'm saying. I just hate looking at that. um and each party may even think that, well, I know best because of this and other, but again, at the end of the day, that makes it easier for certain individuals to be targeted. While what does it say here? While the Radium Girls and their fight for justice has been kept from the main history books and lessons that I grew up with, the current fights for justice are kept from mainstream media. I am now inspired to learn the truth. These hidden rhetorics deserve to be seen and honored. As for the Radium Girls, I hope their sacrifice is seen and recognized. And again, a lot of us are not going to be seen and recognized at the end of the day. We'll be allowed to be targeted. Like for me, for instance, I share this information because I want to empower people in any way that I possibly can. And so, if I got to leave this place, what I'm saying, at least damn, you know what I'm saying? I know that I've helped one person see something, and that's just the end goal, end game for me, you know. And so not just for themselves, but for current and future generations. Yes. May they inspire other youth in this generation and the ones that follow to stand up for what they believe in. There's so much more we can learn from bravery and selflessness of their fight. So again, you'll see society try to turn it into you being selfish because you talk about your journey so that you can enlighten or even share that with other people that may make people feel comfortable. That you can there are other people out here that's going through these things. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be made to feel ashamed of that in a sense, or just people that are different in general are treated in a certain way or fashion. So, just be careful how you treat people because, again, you never know what can happen and who can be on top and who can be, what I'm saying? For me, if I see I don't know. It's just me. But if I see some kind of value in something you do, I ain't never gonna be in competition with nobody. I know only I can do things the way that I do them, and that's just really all it is. But there's somebody that's gonna be able to do it better than me. Somebody's gonna be able to be more patient than me, some thorough than me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just there's so many of us out here and so much information. It's just like, man, come on, man. Um, I don't know. I see it as a beautiful thing. And even though I don't see eye to eye every time, it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm gonna always be somebody that go against the grain. I can't help myself, and it's gonna get me in trouble one day. Possibly not. I can't keep, I can't have that mindset. Um, I can't have that mindset, but you know what I mean. So yeah, anyways, take care and I'll see you guys soon. Let me know what you think about it, or if you know anything, or if maybe your ancestors, your grandparents, or somebody told you about something that had something to do with this. Because again, when we go back to that date and time, people just talk about the general storyline of what happened in Tulsa, but nobody's talking about the underline. So it's really good to see that even they're talking about Tulsa here, that they brought that up, because was that going on amongst these particular people or something like that at the same time as well? So we can go back into a whole study and just see about radium in this particular area and see if we can find articles and stuff about it. But I don't even need to do it. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm saying? That's what the case is. Something or something like it was being used. And just like now, something or something like it is being used. And if we don't if we're not paying attention, just saying, if we don't bring awareness, and if we keep trying to follow this new wave into this new, oh, forget about the past and let's go here. I just wonder sometimes, even if it's a whole collective and everyone is saying this, what does that mean? It makes me think I'm in the Truman Show or some kind of Twilight Zone. So again, people like me, there's not going to be a place for these particular people. Everything is going to be, excuse me, um, monitored and scanned. That's what they've done to the so-called greats that have written books and everything about certain subjects. At some point in time, they had to go if you start going against the grain. But for us little ones, they'll just slowly add a little lace of something and do certain things. And if you're someone that is in a certain uh caste or status, it may happen a little bit more to you or quicker or something like that, but eventually it'll all trickle back up or down and continue to be a problem for all if it's not addressed. So again, thanks for stopping by. Gratitude and grand rising. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and join us in the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained for more information like this, alternative information about past, present, and future. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care.